So we're now going to be joined with Laura and Louise on the telephone. Of course, you may remember we worked with them on the Art Transmission project, and I thought we'd catch up with them to see what they're up to now. Firstly, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you for inviting us, Daniel.
Well, I was hoping you could update our listeners on what you're working on at the moment.
Yes, certainly. Well, we're currently working on Rochester Riverside in Medway on a temporary public art project along Rochester Riverside. And we have 6 artists that have been commissioned, and they are working in pairs along Rochester Riverside to produce some temporary artwork. We have Stuart Bowditch, who's a sound artist, working with Christopher Sacra, who's a sculptor, Daisy Farris, who's a dancer, working with Nicola Flower, who works in textiles and illustration, and finally Caitlin Heffernan and Jane Pitt, who are working with sound and installation. So it's quite exciting. They've only got to know each other in December this year, January, and since then they've been collaborating to produce some work that's in response to Rochester Riverside itself.
I was going to say, how does that work, sort of 2 artists working together from different areas and also not knowing each other?
Exactly. Well, a couple of them are local. So Christopher has got a studio at Nucleus Gallery, and Jane herself is based along between Chatham and Rochester, so she knows the area quite well, and that's been really helpful. And Nicola Flower's based in Maidstone, and so she knows the area and teaches at UCA in Rochester as well. So they are familiar, but getting to know the site in depth has been quite interesting. And really, we've just had to allow them to have time to get to know each other and to develop their work. Of course, they all have different practices as well, so it's working out how they would produce some work together, which has been really interesting.
So have that to produce something to a particular theme, or has it just been a case of them working on their own areas to produce something?
Well, it's very much about regeneration of the site. So whilst there was some regeneration that took place in pre-2008, it has stopped for a while, so there's a limited amount of development that's taken place on the site. It's pretty empty, and since then people have used the site. There's dog walkers, there's roller skaters, there's general walkers, and then Hyde Housing have accommodation, and UCA student accommodation is on the site. But apart from that, it's pretty bare, and development is about to start again towards the end of this year. But before that happens, we thought we'd bring these artists back onto the site and start to animate the area. So it really is sort of looking at it as it is now and then looking forward to what regeneration is going to take place on that site.
So it's about getting people thinking about that site again, where it's sort of come to a halt before it's regenerated. Very
much so, yeah, and celebrating how it's used at the moment as well. So as I said, we've been working quite closely with Rochester Riverside roller skaters and also Hyde Housing, the residents that currently live there, who, they're all quite excited about what's coming, and it's just been working with that community while they're currently using it.
Have there been any interesting outcomes or things that you found out with the artists that you didn't think would happen when you started the project?
Well, certainly Jane and Kate, everybody works differently, but Jane and Caitlin have based a lot of their work on research, and they've discovered that oysters have started to seed themselves back into the riverbed again. They had disappeared, and now they're back again. And in fact, that's a really good sign, but Jane and Caitlin have now used that as a motif for their work. All sorts of things, really. I think we'll leave it to people to discover once the project actually launches.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you next. When is it launched, and when can people see the results of it?
Sure, I'll hand over to my colleague, if that's all right, and she'll talk about the launch weekend.
Hi, Daniel.
Hiya.
Hello. Hi. Yes, as Louise mentioned, we've got some really exciting things coming up for the launch weekend, which is taking place the weekend of Saturday the 20th of June and Sunday the 21st of June. It's all locating around Rochester Riverside. And the first event on Saturday, the 20th of June, we're going to be using the cultural baton, which is a lovely silver baton that we'll be placing down by Hyde Housing. And people can gather and meet us there Nicola Flower and Daisy Farris will be using the baton and introducing their character called Bluebell. Now, Bluebell is someone that they've kind of discovered through their research in the area, and it's kind of taken over their work. And it's a real iconic... The blue dresses really are the kind of thing that sums up Bluebell, and they've been using blue dresses and dance to talk about this character. So on Saturday, the 20th of June, from 2 till 5, they will be in the baton, and they will be talking about Bluebell and showing some of their drawings and sculptural work. We also have an artist-led walk that's happening from 2 till 4, again, meeting at the baton on Saturday. And that's Christopher Sacre and Stuart Bowditch who are doing that. And they're inviting people to come along with them on an artist-led walk to explore Rochester Riverside with something called the Aperture. Now, the Aperture is a device that you can listen and look through. It's something that they've both been working on. Obviously, Stuart is a sound artist, so he's very interested in sound. Stuart has worked extensively working with sound and sort of discovering what things can be heard along the riverside. Christopher is a visual artist, but Christopher is also profoundly deaf. So it's been quite interesting how Christopher and Stuart have been working together, and they've come up with this idea of something called the Aperture, which will be something that you can look through and also listen with as well. So again, that's exploring the sights and sounds that can be seen along the riverside, and that's quite an interesting... That'll be an interesting artist-led walk on that Saturday.
Right.
And then in the evening, we will have a little reception, which will be held at the Bistro Cafe in Hyde Housing on Saturday, and that's from 5 till 7. And that's a chance for everyone to meet the artists together. Jane and Caitlin will also be joining us. And it gives us a chance to see a film screening by Nicola Flower and Daisy Farris, which again explores the character of Bluebell. And the film is called She's Like a Forest Fire. Now, Daisy Farris has a dance collective, and they've been rehearsing, taking the research that both her and Nicola have been gathering, and they've made an amazing dance piece they have filmed. That's set on Sun Pier, so you'll be able to see Sun Pier and its amazing atmosphere, a beautiful piece of work, actually. And we'll be showing that at the Bistro Cafe on Saturday evening. So that's Saturday. And then on Sunday... it's a celebration of the work of Jane Pitt and Caitlin Heffernan. So on Saturday, there's some floor-based artwork that will be happening, again, meeting at the Baton, 1:30 till 3:30. Jane and Caitlin are inviting people to come along on roller skates, scooters, pushchairs, wheelchair users, to explore the text and floor-based work, the drawings. They'll be going all along Rochester Riverside Pathway. So that's a really interesting and really exciting thing to get involved in. People must come down and meet Jane and Caitlin to get on with it. But it's quite a packed weekend, I think you agree. We're really excited about it. And it's something that people can get a flavour of what's been happening, really, through the artist's research.
So if our listeners would like to find out more, is there somewhere they can look online a little bit about it before they go along?
Yeah, there is. We have a Facebook page, which people can come and have a look on. I'm just trying to find the address. Hang on with me. So the Facebook page is www.facebook.com/Insight Public Art Project. And if you look on there, you'll see some of the events that are happening. Everything is free, so there's no booking required. You can also find us on Twitter. So that's #Insight2015. Plus, you can also find us on our own website, which is www.francisnight.co.uk, and there'll be information on that.
Well, as always, I'd like to thank you very much for updating us on what you're working on at the moment.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to talk to you, Daniel, and hope to see some of your listeners down there on the weekend.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.